Hey people, welcome back. It's a sad day for gunslingers, but not because of the damage nerfs, like most would assume, at least until later content. However, quality of life and smoothness gameplay got nerfed, and that actually matters the most, at least for me. But fear not, build is too fun to give up on it. The goal of this video is to bring it at least to the similar state as it was before, except range. You cannot really brute force that, though we're having like at least 3 Descendants, we're obliterating the whole map without any range limits and standing still. Seems GLEY was too cool for 36 meters. Anyway, I want to go through the changes, maybe they will listen, maybe they will not, but let's see. As usual, a little disclaimer. Everything I will be talking next is not because of the nerfs, I don't mind them, I like the good game balance, but I do mind ruining a good gameplay rotations and hypocritical decisions. Let's go. Patch notes. Good, bad, and ugly. Good? The only good thing about this update is the skill trigger was not removed. You can still speed it up, I will show it later, because last time I left in the pinned comment. Bad! Oh, we have lots of those. Damage nerf is not bad, but we got hit with a 60% cost increase as well. And to compensate for it, we have to reduce our damage even more by replacing module. And as for the cost, it's completely unreasonable change, because to get resources we have two mechanics, which are completely RNG. 50% one, which needs like 6-9 melee hits, and 17% for like 15, 20, 25 mob kills to get even one cast skill. If you don't have room full of mobs, you're going to have not so good time. If you're in a group, you are either first or you're forever in the chasing mode. And with some tricks, after the nerf you will never be first. I can't help but notice with the latest reworks and nerfs, they're trying to force you to use melee more. However, design of those is still not great, and each meaningful mob will just slap the crap out of you. I personally don't enjoy being slapped and getting beaten while wasting 2-3 seconds getting up. Next, range and walls. Most impactful change. I like that they finally addressing skills shooting through walls, but it is only done for one last rework build. Really? It leaves really bad opinion about it. And range? Well, I don't need to name you at least 3 Descendants who can annihilate everything past 50-100 meters range in 360 mode and huge AoE, while mostly standing still as well. That calls for favoritism of some Descendants, and starting doing that will affect their reputation. Again, I don't mind a good balance, but when they're cherry picking it, I'm kinda disappointed. Bike animation cancellation, not big deal. It was much more pleasant gameplay to move to the next mob spawn. It doesn't hurt any game balance or anything. Even if it was a bug, why just not leave it? Rolling is welcomed though. You can let the players choose which one to use. Now we're just having more button pressing outside of the gameplay loop. Even if rolling is welcomed, movement keys cancellations are not welcome. It's clunky, almost every Descendant has non-stop action. Now making sure you took your hand off from your WASD keys while playing GLEY to not waste your ultimate, and most importantly cost, is super weird. I'm still getting used to that. And my condolences to the console players, because controllers with the movement stick drift is quite common issue. And it probably will feel annoying. And ugly? Rotation. It's not doing much. If played properly, most of the time we'll be positioning ourselves in front of the all mobs anyway. Well, it does develop your carpal tunnel, so be careful. Before we go to the build, if by any chance developers are checking content creators, because I don't know what community they mentioned forced them to apply so many nerfs in a single package, here are some notes. Damage nerf is okay, but whatever measures were used, they're not great. And she's now a B tier, with usual favorite Descendants are staying in the same places. Now cost would be okay, but it's double damage nerf since we have to remove modules for that. In my previous build, we didn't have any cost reduction mods, however now we are removing damage mods after a huge nerf, reducing our damage even more. Choose one or another. Or remove RNG from resource generation. It's not great to rely on luck to even start playing. Range change is complete nonsense, because of the some other Descendants we had double range nerf. Why? Rotation is not doing much, let us move at this point. If you want huge praise from the players, add sprint speed. Fun gameplay is appreciated more than the damage number. And last, don't be selective about the changes. For example, walls. Either do it for all or don't. Players see that, and players don't appreciate that. Should have known after Ines case. Damage control would be much less if it would not be a single cherry pick. All in all, after giving such amazing looking skill, I will not give up on it just yet. Let's roll. I'll go pretty quickly. If something is unclear, go watch my original video. If you followed my build before, you ended with this build. However, following all the yapping, we're nerfing our damage even more. First, we're removing the spear and shield. We're reducing our damage by 7-8%. However, we're giving it maximized conservation to get the skill cost approximately at the same amount which it was before the nerf, and reducing our damage 1% more because of the skill power modifier. Thanks devs. If you're stubborn like me and want to use the skill for everything including bossing, you will remove the emergency measures, reducing our damage by 8% more, and replace it with the focus dimension. If you go shadow path, you will leave it, but later on that. The main reason we're doing it, to reduce the cooldown of our passive now, to get as much resource generation as possible, especially on a single target, or there are few mobs in the room. And range, we can use amplify, however we don't have a shield, so I keep that just in case. Maybe one day I will notice range increase. Copium. If you followed my previous guide step by step, theoretically including my ancestor module, you will end up with something like this. However, to compensate nerf damage, you need almost perfect to positive 1 negative ancestor module with the critical damage and dimensional skill power boost, not modifier. Then it will feel like it was before the nerf, excluding range, cost, animation cancelling, yada yada. Trigger module, same as before, we need that damage, especially now. Weapon. Now I fully built Hypernova. Previously I was scratching mobs to passively generate resources. Now we will utilize both passive and on-kill resource generation to get a faster start. Its ability damages each 0.5 seconds, same as passive at max cooldown reduction. Here are my weapon cores and enhanced stats. As for the module, I go with something like this. Main focus to use the special ability. However, one point about the defense master, it works with your ultimate without the melee kill. If you wish, you can replace chill circulation with the faster attacks or increased range for situations where you want to get close and personal. I'm using this mostly for a faster start at the beginning of the dungeon. Now instead of Hypernova, you can bring any AoE weapon for the less hassle. But I still recommend Hypernova for bossing because you launch the ability, you passively generate the resources. Don't have Hypernova or don't want to use the skill on the boss? That's fine, use the shadow. I'm just stubborn, I really like the skill and the challenge that comes with it. Same as before, use the Peacemaker for min-maxing your damage. I personally don't, I'm just too lazy to swap weapons. Reactor components are the same as the previous video. Arcade tuning, almost same as before, the only thing I changed the path going from here to get a little bit more cost reduction. However, if you noticed, we also removed the HP nodes. You leave them on if you're still learning how to play. And we don't really care about the range, as it's just multiplicative and you have to range already somewhere, which we do, and it's minimally 50% already, so whatever. However, a little bit later I will explain the trick how to use that to your advantage. Inversion, same as before, I only added skill cost reduction just for the quality of life. And fellow, same as before as well. For alternative, if you want to double down on the cost reduction, you can remove focus on dimension and go with additional cost reduction. Our resource generation will be less smooth. For the trick which I mentioned before, if you will get the ancestor module with the perfect stats which I discussed before, you can swap crit damage from your reactor, pick up range instead of cost reduction here, and by using arcade tuning range nodes you will reach the cap by just killing couple mobs. That will allow you to replace the range module which we're having here with something like Spear and Shield to bring the damage back. And on top of that, it will give you a nice tankiness boost. If you don't want a hassle with the skill on the bossing, you can bring up some bossing weapon because we're still having infinite ammo if you wish. And for the current latest dungeon, which is Underwater Base, I recommend Blue Beetle. It has the crush affinity and the boss is actually weak to that. My Blue Beetle is mostly a stat stick with the sprint speed and I like to use the skill, so I'm not really chasing that. However, if you will, keep in mind that it shares the ammo with the either Hypernova or Shadow. If you have empty bullets, the Shadow or Hypernova special ability will not be recharging. So, how it plays. Again, check my latest video for all the details, here I'll go briefly. Go to the lab and get the feeling of the new range. It's approximately this. Even then you have to get a little bit closer to get the mobs behind them. Pay attention to not press any movements keys while you're casting your ultimate. It will cancel it and it will take the cost away. Console players with the stick drift, my condolences. That will feel crap, sadly. I still recommend picking position in front of the mob spawns because you can get with one skill use couple waves. Getting inside of the mobs and doing 360s for now with the spinning is not good for your health, both for your character and for your hand, because spinning too much is not good for it, unless you have a palm grip. Tips and tricks. When you're using your ultimate, smash the ultimate button as fast as possible. It will reduce your animation approximately 40%. However, don't do that when you're expecting more mobs to spawn, because the slower you shoot, the more mobs you can get, the more resources you can save. For underwater boss, shield generator is your friend. If you're using Hypernova, it's kinda passive resource generation. But yeah, as usual, if there will be any minor updates, you will find them in the pinned comment. Hopefully it was resourceful, people talk more about those points, and maybe devs will listen, because currently I'm having a feeling even devs are playing metas. But as usual, have fun, and as always, thanks for watching. Peace.